Alright, welcome to part 4. You may hear some thunder and lightning in this one. Well, don't be scared. It's only thunder and lightning. Anyway, so let's keep going here. What do you have? I think I may have lost some footage from the last one, but I'm looking through it and it seems like it might be okay. I think we last ended off here, and I was going to show you some items, but then it seems to have got it was cut off. Alright, so as I was saying, let's keep going. So these are some of the special sections of the alphabetical index. All right, the hypertension chart, the neoplasm chart, the table of drugs and chemicals, and external code, the E-code index, the external cause of injury index as well. All right, so let's take a look at how they actually look like. Let's take a look. All right, so this is the hypertension chart, as you can see. All right, so the hypertension chart, which we're not doing yet, but just to give you an overall overview of it. All right, so essentially, what you have here, you have the listing, and we will have hypertension due to hypertension with, and then once you locate the particular item you're looking for, let's say for instance we're looking for hypertension with chronic kidney disease, specifically let's say stage 5 or something, right? So we're looking at here, stage 5, hypertension with chronic kidney disease, stage 5. So we go across, and now we have to determine whether it's malignant, benign, or unspecified. And so that's how that chart works. And of course, when we get to chapter 7, we'll do more about hypertension and things like that. All right, but overall, that's what the chart is about. And this is just another look of the chart, looking more at the degrees here, what is malignant, what is benign or unspecified. Right, so that's what that looks like. This is the table of drugs and chemicals, and this is what this looks like. Again, it looks very similar to what we just saw, but it gives you a really good idea of what it is that you're looking at. Let's say, for instance, we were looking at poisoning by propanol, right? Propanol, as you can see right here. All right. So once what we will do is we will choose the poisoning code, and then we will also choose the E code to signify whatever the reason for the poisoning would have been. All right. So that's how that would work out. Let's see. Let me give you a shot of the neoplasm as well. Alright, now before I give you the neoplasm, let me actually give you a shot of the table of drugs and chemicals. I have I believe a video of it, so let me give you a video of that as well before we move on to that. Alright, so again, this is just more of a close-up of what we just saw for so I was showing you. So you essentially would pick whatever the poisoning was by, whatever the poisoning chemical was, and you choose a poisoning code. So what we were talking about, the propanol, right? Essentially, you have to choose the poisoning code. Once you have the poisoning code, you then choose the E code that went along with the poisoning code. And that's all that really is. It's probably one of my favorite sections because it gives you two items here instead of having to go back and forth. And then of course you have to go confirm those items, and those items eventually lead you to even more of the things that you're looking for. All right. Now okay, so let's now go take a look at the neoplasm. All right. So as far as the neoplasm goes, and let me give you the first shot first. Then we'll look at the second shot. For the neoplasm, so again, it will still have the same kind of idea. On the left side, we will have the actual body part. Let's say the body part here was, let's say, hypothalamus or something, right? And then we come across and choose which of the categories, the category of neoplasm. Whether it was malignant, then we have three choices: benign, uncertain behavior, and also unspecified. So that's how that will actually work. And again, this is just another shot of another section of the neoplasm as well. Same idea. All right. So let's get into more of coding. All right. So let's say, for instance, you have what looks like same code. All right. We have connecting words, things like with and due to. Remember, we saw with and due to when we were looking at some of the hypertension items, right? Right. With, and then there's also due to as well. You have to be very careful when you look at those scenarios, because those will lead you to oftentimes one code, right? people in the beginning get confused. So let's say, for instance, we're looking at anemia. The main code that you see next to anemia would be 2A5.9, which is usually, when it's next to the code, is usually a very unspecified code. It's a general code that unspecified. And now you have a connecting word like with, all right? And then you have on the bottom here disorder of anaerobic glycolysis, which we actually saw when we were looking up earlier at the video, I believe. All right, so these are connecting words. You have to be very careful with connecting words. All right, people get them confused. Oftentimes, I have a student who may be looking in the book and they automatically arrive at the first term here, anaerobic glycolysis, and think that's what they're looking at. When in fact they're looking at the main term of anemia, and underneath anemia, even further, there's with, and then further there is anaerobic glycolysis. So be very careful with these terms. Right? Just like you have here with the connecting terms, you also have what is referred to as essential and non-essential modifiers. Non-essential modifiers are there to give you further explanation. They can give you additional items to look at, or they may just be there because it's another term used to describe the same scenario. Whereas essential modifiers actually will change the definition or will change the meaning of whatever it is that you're looking at. Alright, so let's say for instance here we have anemia. Underneath anemia, let's say is the main term anemia, there is a subterm called aplastic anemia. And the code that it gives us is 2A4.9. Now, next to it, we have the word acquired. Right underneath aplastic, we have a subclassification term acquired. Next to acquired, we have secondary, and then we have 2A4.89. The word secondary here is a non-essential term because it's not going to change this, right? And acquired means something that you actually were not born with, all right? So it falls into the term of a secondary, which means the word secondary does not have any change in the term at all. It doesn't change the meaning of acquired. It doesn't change the meaning of a plastic acquired. Acquired aplastic anemia at all, right? And of course, underneath acquired aplastic, you also have a different version, which would be congenital, which obviously means something that you were born with, right? Here, the subterm congenital is not non-essential. It is essential because it changes the very definition. It is no longer just a regular aplastic, nor is it acquired. Specifically, it's a congenital, right? So make sure when you see a term that is already in the parentheses, all right, you don't always have to worry about those because those are what is already part of the definition. Right. Now, conventions. Conventions are symbols, punctuations, abbreviations, and essentially instructional notes that tell you how the book itself functions. One of the earlier conventions that we saw, and I told you you can kind of take a look at, you can ignore it in the beginning. It was, and actually you can see one right here, right? This is it. It's a hexagon. It's a blue dot, and essentially what it means is that you need an additional digit. In this case, we already have 4 digits. That means we only need one additional digit, which is a fifth subclassification digit. Now, had this said 642 and then had the subclassification not on here, right? It only says 642.2. Right now we know we already need one because we already have 4, so we only need one more. If it said 642 point nothing, right? Excuse me, not even a point. It would just say 642. We will know that we would actually need 2 additional digits here to finish off our case. But in this case, it already gives us 4. That means we only need a 5th digit. Right? So let's get back to our conventions, and let's go more into other conventions as well. Alright, 2 of the biggest conventions you're going to see, NOS and NEC. NEC simply means not elsewhere classified, and NOS means not otherwise specified. Not elsewhere classified means that it is not well defined in the book. Right? A more specific code does not actually exist. So even though you actually know specifically what it is that you're looking for, let's say you were looking for a um, some sort of injury. Let's call this injury X to the finger. All right, injury X to the finger. You go to look in the book, and there is no injury X to the finger, but there's injury X to the hand, and that's as far as the book go. Or let's go even larger. Let's say there's injury X to the arm, injury X to uh, hand, but it doesn't go as far as going to injury X to the finger. Well, basically what that means is that there is not a specific code for that finger, but the hand code is as close as it's going to get. So then this hand code essentially becomes NEC, not elsewhere classified, right? Meaning there is no code that goes more in depth than what you have for the hand, all right? Now that's not the same as NOS. NOS means that the medical record information that you have is just not it's not enough. It's insufficient. So in this case, the physician, even though there's a injury X, injury X to finger, what would that have been? Injury X to finger in the book, physician actually didn't give you the name of the injury. All right, so all you have is something to the finger. All right. So here the problem is that you don't have enough information. All right. So basically not enough info to go on. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist in the book. It's just that for you don't have enough information to make that determination. Therefore, you simply go with an NOS. Right. Um, and here are just some more examples of it. For instance, NOS, anemia of chronic disease, but it doesn't tell you specifically what the chronic disease is. All right. Some additional conventions here. All right, when you have the bracket, right? The bracket essentially will hold synonyms or like words. All right, words are similar. So, or it can even give you explanation. So typically, this is not something that would change the meaning of the code that you're looking for, but it can give you further explanation. The curly braces. These are when you find these terms, right? They essentially what they do is they modify. Right, each term is modified by the statement that's right to the right of it. And it will be easier once we start to see, so you see more. Once you start to actually use the book. Supplemental words. Again, we just went over supplemental words, and these are more like non-essential terms that we just went over. All right. The colon. All right. When you are in volume 1, the colon is used for any incomplete terms that essentially need more modifiers in order to be complete. All right. In addition to what we just talked about with the with the hexagon. Right. The term include and exclude. Now these terms are going to be changed a little bit when you get to ICD 10 because you're going to have different variations of exclude. Now as far as ICD 9 goes, when we say something is included, that means that it is included within the disease category. So maybe you may have an umbrella term for a disease, and let's say the disease was X, but that disease X also includes A, B, C, and D. Right, so all those are actually included. So you find them all listed under the category. So let's say disease X had a code of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 or something like that, right? So that would mean that disease X, the explanation for 1, 2, 3 also includes all of these items. Right, A, B, C, and D are all diseases that are included in it. And exclude is exactly the opposite of that. These are codes that should not be coded along with whatever code you're looking at. So if 1, 2, 3 was disease X and everything else underneath it, it might say this excludes disease E, this excludes disease F, this excludes disease G, or something like that. All right, so pretty self-explanatory when it comes to those ideas. All right, and then these we're not going to go over this. I'm going to actually save this for when we get to the next video. So I'll see you in video 5, I suppose. Yep, video 5.